Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Enjoy Life. I'm your host, Casey Crutchfield, and today we have a special episode. We've been talking about this episode for about a month now. My guest here today is Mr. Jack Settleman, host of SnapBack Sports. Jack, thank you so much for stopping through. For those who haven't watched, we've kind of had this in the planning. I reached out to Jack when I first started my podcast and asked him to be a guest because I saw him at a Saints game, and he made a promise to me that he'd come on the pod after a year of podcasting. So here we are a year from now. Jack, thank you so much for holding up to your promise.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for holding up to actually doing it. There's a million people, a million members of the fam who have set out on this journey, asked me to come on the show. And I always say, I am happy to do it, but you got to do it for a year first because I think it teaches you a lot along the way. And it also, the number one thing it probably teaches you is not to rely on the guests, right? If you're not creating a show that people don't want to tune into for you or for the content that you're making, a guest isn't going to solve that. A guest can help grow awareness, can help, with people finding out about the show, but you gotta build that thing up and make sure it's real. So yeah, you've made it a year. How's it been?
It's been a long year for sure. Definitely a lot of ups and a lot of downs. Definitely learned a lot in this year, especially like managing grad school and trying to do the podcast. There's so many times I left school to go do one, or I'm
Yeah.
at school editing. But honestly, I think there's just kind of beauty in that in general. Like it just kind of showed like how much I actually want to do it. So, I'd say I love it. That's all I could really say.
Oh yeah.
But
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
so just starting off, so I guess what in general just made you to decide to come up with Snapback Sports? I'm sure you've always been a sports guy, but like, let's take it all the way back.
Yeah, so Snapback was started as a Snapchat account in 2017. And it came from a place of I knew I wanted to talk about sports. I knew I wanted to work in sports, be entrepreneurial in sports. So what was the way in? And I was studying sports management at Texas at the time. And the path for me was to go to, minor league baseball and sell tickets and work my way up. And I just that wasn't for me. Like I didn't want to go to the middle of Iowa. No offense to our Iowa people, but that just wasn't it. So I thought, like, how else could I build leverage for myself and build a platform? And I also recognized pretty early on that personality was going to drive this thing, right? And in sports, there were so many people who were going more neutral and they weren't embracing fandom and they weren't embracing biases when sports fans are so biased as is, right? So I kind of took that path. I went and worked at Action Network and then Whistle Sports for a couple of years out of school while building up Snapback. And then in 2021, I made the leap and haven't looked back since.
Yeah. And so could you kind of tell like in 2017, because I feel like that's a point where like people weren't taking as much like TV, ESPN type of stuff. It was starting that slow shift into going on the phone. And that's how like a lot of my friends found you on Snapchat, like just showing old highlights or stuff like that. And
Yeah.
like, I think that's how we kind of got that connection. And it's crazy how much it's snowballed into what it is today.
Yeah. It's funny because everyone talks about that, right? Like how cool it's been to watch from the early days of Snapback to where we are now. And I admit, like, it is very cool. But at the same time, people need to recognize it has been 8 years. Like that's a long ass time that we've been
Yeah.
at it. And so look, nothing's guaranteed, but my big idea is that if you put enough time and effort into something, you're gonna just get better at it, which is why I recommend everyone who's starting a podcast, I'll come on after a year because it shows me that you're committed to this thing. And I actually think if people took the viewpoint of, I'm going to do this show for 10 years, their success rate would be so high. But people don't want to do it for 10 years. They want it to happen quickly and overnight. But if you do it from a passion, right? And that was my thing. I could talk about sports all day long. So I didn't mind posting about it, responding about it, interacting about it. Um, did I ever think it would end up like this? Probably not. And we still got 2 more years to reach my 10-year mark. But
Yeah.
with time, anything can happen.
And it's crazy that you say it's already been 8 years because, like, towards a new fan of Snapback, it would almost seem like y'all are just getting started in a way.
Exactly, exactly.
So, just to start off this football season, what's been like the best place you've been to so far this season?
Oh, good question. I would have to say, I mean, Hawaii was the best place because, like, we're in freaking Hawaii, which was cool. It
Yeah,
obviously wasn't the best football game. That was Ohio State, Texas, even though my Longhorns broke my heart. But undoubtedly, that was a high level game, even with poor quarterback play from the
yeah.
Longhorns. But they've all been fun, and I'm super pumped to go to Ole Miss this weekend, the Grove, SEC, like the good stuff, which is an SEC tailgate and culture.
Yeah, Tulane money line is definitely the play that we are
Is
at
it
least plus 10.5 for sure. Tulane's
okay? Of
so like, we're from Louisiana, so like Tulane
course.
is one of our teams. They're a wagon this year. Like they've helped me out well. But have you been to an LSU game yet?
No, we're going October 25th versus A&M. So hopefully
Okay, I'll
LSU
be
keeps
there.
it up and hopefully A&M keeps it up. And that should be the craziest game at Death Valley this season. Hopefully. We'll see how
Is
everyone
that
plays
one
out.
is that one a night game?
It should be. So that's the thing. They don't lock in the timing yet because they don't know how the teams are going to be, but it's three versus
Yeah.
seven as of today.
Yeah, all I'm saying is it's a different environment over here. Like I didn't go
That's
to
what we've
LSU, but
heard.
it's Baton Rouge is like an hour away. Like trust me, you will after you go, you'll say that is the best tailgate I've been to. Like
Tailgate
no doubt, best
overall miss.
tailgate over Ole Miss, best tailgate, best just like vibe in general. Like when you're in Death Valley, it is so loud. The noise, the call in Baton Rouge, all of it. It's
Okay.
an experience within itself.
It looks amazing. I cannot wait for it. But we will put it to the test. We've seen some shit, so hopefully it stacks up.
Yeah.
And I've seen, the Superdome in New Orleans is one of the loudest pro stadiums, so I believe it. I know you guys are wild down there.
Yeah, except no, I don't think no one's big on the Saints this year. I don't know
Doesn't
how many
matter.
games I'm making it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
still
know
loud though.
it is. But just going forward, I know you didn't y'all go to the Super Bowl this past year? Am I right?
We did. We did. We did.
Now, obviously, it wasn't a good game, but um, going to the Super Bowl is a dream of mine one day. Just tell me, what was that atmosphere like?
Yeah, so that's actually our big knock on Super Bowls is because it's a 50-50 crowd, but really it's a 30-30-40 crowd because all the corporate sponsors and big money that can actually afford to go are the ones in the building. So the AFC and NFC championships at home are actually like better atmospheres and experiences, in our opinion. Now, if you're lucky enough and can afford going to the Super Bowl, it's a bucket list item, right? Like the special moment when all the camera flashes go off at kickoff and you just feel the aura in the stadium, the halftime show. It is magical. Now, like you said, in a blowout, what is it like in the third quarter? Well, in the third quarter, you're just kind of sitting in the Superdome for a really bad football game. The concessions aren't any
Yeah,
different. There's, half the stadium is not interested in the game anymore. So that does happen. But, I've been lucky enough to be at the last six or seven. I'm not Clip Farming, I
yeah.
promise. That was an accident. But, um, uh, like Chiefs come back against the Niners, Chiefs come back against the Eagles, Chiefs come back against the Niners the first time, Bengals, Rams, which was an amazing game. So I have seen a lot of really good shit at the Super Bowls, but a bad game can, like, if you're a Chiefs fan and you missed out on their three Super Bowls and the one you went to was this one, you spent a lot of money, you saw a really bad game. The beauty of it is like New Orleans is such a fun town that you had a great time regardless. But San Fran this year will be an interesting Super Bowl city. Haven't been out there for a Super Bowl. Have gone for a game before, but interested to kind of see what that's like.
Yeah, and actually, so my roommate, his brother's a big Chiefs fan. So they went to the AFC game in Kansas City,
Mm,
It was freezing. Literally said they'd get a beer and it would be frozen when they went to sit down.
yeah.
And they unfortunately went to the Super Bowl, so that was rough for them. But
Tough.
yeah, but kind of moving on. What are your big expectations for moving on for the rest of y'all traveling this year? Like, obviously, I know you're excited to go to every place because every place brings
Yeah.
something different. But like, if there's one circled for you, like, what's that exciting one?
Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule. I mean, LSU is on there. The one that I'm most interested in, without a doubt, is we're going to Delaware State and HBCU for their homecoming in October next month, in like 3 or 4 weeks. Deshaun Jackson's the coach there, so like I just am fascinated by like what that's going to be like. That's also a place that doesn't get a lot of coverage, right? Shadar and Travis were at an HBCU, but outside of like their highlights, no one really talked about like the game day experience, the tailgates, like what it's like in the stand. So I'm really pumped for that one. Then hopefully gonna bring my running shoes and get to race against DJax.
Uh, yeah, you might need a little like 10, 15 yard head start. But
But
shifting from like going to game days and stuff like that for a second, tell me about the app, man. I play every now and then. I have the notification set, but if I'm honest, I don't do it every day. But I
all
do
good.
enjoy it when I do it. Like, where did you get that idea, and how do you feel about it? Because I feel like it's definitely like taken off a lot, and I feel like there's still more room for it.
Yeah, it's good. So we started making trivia content about a year ago, and it, performed exceptionally well. And then we went to Big Ten and Big 12 media days. We did Super Bowl Radio Row, and like the trivia content just pops. And so where we want to go as a company is to build products. So trivia was like a simplified game, and it's obviously very complex to build even a simple game like that. Um, but we built it. We felt great about it. We launched it. I think it's got like 26,000 downloads in the first few months, which is really exciting. We launched multiplayer on top of it. Today, we're actually launching Game Builder. So, like, anyone can create, like, you could create your own Saints game, right? And submit it, and we might publish it to the app, and it might be the game of the day. So, we're just
Okay.
continuing to build out cool functions and features like that. And the reason, besides we saw the content going well and where we want to head as a company, is like no one's building a sports trivia app. And I just feel like that's an area in the market that absolutely is underserved. And you know this because you're part of the Snapback fam. Like everything we do keeps in mind our audience. And so being able to build you guys something that you enjoy playing, and I don't take offense if you don't play every single day. I'd actually rather, after this, you email me feedback. What could get you to play every day? Or maybe it's just not in your behaviors, right? Like, I think that's a big misconception amongst everyone right now, which is like, you know, you if your app's going to be successful, you need to trap them on it for like 6 hours a day. It's like, no, like some days you play, some days you don't. Should we figure out what makes you play daily? Maybe, but at the same time, like we don't want to force you to play trivia if you're not feeling it that day, right? So that's kind of
Yeah.
the impetus for the app.
Definitely. And so I know y'all talked about this towards the beginning of the season, like having the y'all's logo on the jerseys and
Yeah.
stuff. That must have been pretty exciting. So like how was it to reach out to schools like that and kind of talk on that sort of business level to do that? Like I know you even said maybe doing the trivia at halftime. Like I
Hmm.
thought that was so cool when y'all started talking about that. Like I would love to see someone come out on game day and just have the snapback patch on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be sick. So when it was again Louisiana, when LSU announced they were going to do it, I actually put out a bounty. I said for 100 grand, I will sponsor the best college football team that'll take us. We got really close with ECU. Essentially, they haven't passed the law yet, and no one has done it, so they didn't. No one felt comfortable. That's why LSU doesn't have their jersey back. But I think by next season, it'll be more realistic. But we float around other ideas that were approved, trivia, um, player of the game with Baylor, like different things like that. But for me, it was about getting on the jersey, right, and repping that. So if we couldn't have that, it was too close to the start of the season, and we didn't want to just throw money at something that we weren't going to get a lot of value out of. So we turned to next season, and hopefully a school is interested.
Yeah. And so, what is that like? What do you think that would be like just to see that patch on that jersey? Like, especially starting in 2017, like, I bet if you would tell yourself that you would have a snapback patch on a college football jersey, you'd be like, you're crazy.
Yeah, yeah, I guess it's like, and I practice this, right? Gratefulness and mindfulness, but we had Odell Beckham on a podcast, right? We do content at Radio Row. NFL athletes know who we are. So it it's just kind of another step. But at the same time, like you said, in 2017, that would have been the craziest thought. And now it's a reality. And so you got to live in that reality and be grateful for it, but also understand like it's just another step to, where we want to go.
hmm And as far as the college football game in general, I feel like there's a lot of talk about some things. What do you just think about the nature of the game right now and where it's at as far as, outside of the field and just
Yeah.
all the things that come along with being a college player now?
Yeah, I mean it's just finding its footing, right? Like NIL opened this Pandora's box, and then you could pay players, then you can't, then you got to go through the university, then you got to Supreme Court. It's all very confusing. The reality is we live in America and it's a capitalistic society, and if players are getting paid, like people are going to be paying attention to it. They're going to pay players. So yeah, you just follow and it creates opportunities for us, right? Because now these schools need more money, so they got to put a patch on their jersey, and so that's where we come into effect. So, yeah, I think that's just the reality of it.
Okay. And now kind of shifting towards the NFL. When I told one of my friends I was having you on, they wanted me to ask about a specific player. He
Okay.
plays for the Cowboys. What do you think of Dak Prescott? What are your thoughts of Dak?
I've always been high on Dak Prescott. Like I think he's a top seven quarterback in the regular season. Like at this point, it's just in my opinion. I've watched it. He chokes in the playoffs from what I've seen, but in the regular season, he makes big time throws. He always has the Cowboys winning a bunch of games, no matter how good their roster is. He got CD, he had Dez, so like he definitely has had weapons before, but we've seen him make it work with and without. He always plays well against the Eagles, who is their toughest opponent. So if you're looking for a quarterback to win you 10 to 12 games, there's not many other guys I'd pick besides Dak Prescott. If you're looking for your team to go win a Super Bowl, a different story.
Yeah, no. And he always says that he got snubbed of the MVP from Lamar that one year. I feel like we're always going to hear that.
Yeah, I
But
mean, yeah, you can say. I think Lamar should have won last year, and there wasn't really a great candidate 2 years ago, which is why Lamar ended up winning because he went on prime time, he balled out, and they ended up being the one seed. So I get why Lamar won. It's a human award, right? Like it isn't
yeah.
anything. It's voted on by humans, so there's no perfect science to it.
And now out of Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, I mean, I feel like you'd kind of give Lamar the edge just because I know you're a Ravens guy, but like if you had to pick one non-biased, who do you think is the better player?
Lamar Jackson is the better play. Yeah, I feel pretty confident in that.
Pretty confident in that.
Yeah.
I feel like this is their year to win the Super Bowl. Like, and
It's been
I'm not even trying to like glaze or anything. Like, I just feel like with the Chiefs, they're a little sus this year. Like, it's not that automatic bid, like, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl this year.
hmm
Like, I feel like the AFC is really have been, it's like, this is the time it's open.
Yeah, no, it is. In my opinion, it's been somewhat open. I don't think these Chiefs team. I mean, we saw the Eagles smash through them last year. Ravens just they gotta force turnovers and stop turning the ball over in the playoffs. And outside of that, they got the talent, they got the skill, they got everything they need. But until we see it, I get why people are speculative that it may never happen.
Yeah. And so just some moving on to more NFL, what's one hot take that you have after 2 weeks of football so far?
Hmm. That's a good question. I have a negative one, but I'm trying to think of a positive one. So I'll start with the negative one. And maybe you guys fight over this because LSU, Bama, and Saints and Carolina, but I think Bryce Young just doesn't have much time left in the NFL,
Really?
unfortunately. Yeah, he seems like a great kid. I'm rooting for him, but every time I watch, I'm just like, there's no defense that fears him. And I'm sure there's a Carolina fan who might listen to this and be like, no, like you should have watched him against the Cardinals. I did turned the ball over twice. That's why they were losing. Then Arizona just sat back, didn't pressure him. He, made some throws. And then the second they had a chance, Arizona started paying attention again and they couldn't move the ball, more than 5 yards. So yeah, I guess that's my negative one. A positive one. I mean, I was super high on the Packers. Now that's, very trendy, but Jordan Love's really good. LaFleur's really good for him. They have the weapons, and now with Micah and the defense, they can be good enough to make the Super Bowl. I've had Ravens over Packers in the Super Bowl since the start of the season. We'll see how it pans out.
Yeah. No, that Bryce one's gonna hurt. I definitely have some friends who are Panthers fans. They're gonna hurt hearing that. I think
Yeah.
Bryce is good. I don't know. I think the environment he's in doesn't help out a lot. Like, but you can't blame
Yeah.
it all on that.
Yes, it absolutely all plays together. He's Dave Canales, who's a fantastic coach, but the other pieces are not helpful. So yeah, it's not the easiest job, but I just don't know if he'll get another chance.
Yeah. And so another player I definitely wanted to talk about because there's a lot of hot topics that we have as friends. What is your thoughts on Jalen Hurts? Because a lot of people, like a lot of my friends say that they can literally go out there and throw it 5 yards or hand it off to Saquon. And I feel like a lot of people kind of showed Jalen some disrespect, in my opinion. Like, I get he's not a quarterback who's going out there and throw for 300 yards, but in the same breath, they're 2-0. He's led them to two Super Bowls. He's won one of them, but yet people still feel iffy about him.
This is what happened. Um, the media became a hot take machine, and hot takes are all about rankings and ratings and whatever. And so last summer, after they won the Super Bowl, and Jalen now, the Super Bowl against the Chiefs where they lost, he played the best game of his career. He was fucking phenomenal. Um, and then last Super Bowl, he was good. I don't think it was one of his best games ever, but like he made the big throw to Devontae Smith. He made a throw early in the game down the sideline. And he always scores, right? Because they were running him from the
Yeah.
one with him. So he's always going to have a couple touchdowns. So in the biggest moments that we've seen, being the Super Bowl, he's had two really good games. Um, and then during the summer, it was like, well, who's the fifth quarterback, right? Because you had Burrow, Lamar, Allen, and Mahomes, but like, who was the fifth spot? And you can't do your top five rankings without a fifth quarterback. And it wasn't going to be Jaden Daniels because he's a rookie, and what happened to Stroud after his rookie year. So no one wanted to anoint him. No one wanted to put Stafford because the Eagles beat them. No one wanted to put Herbert because it was a hot take that Herbert wasn't that good. So it just ended up being like Hurts is a top five quarterback. And everyone knows Jalen Hurts isn't a top five quarterback, but that doesn't mean he's not a good quarterback. And it doesn't mean he's not a winner. And so that it just had to like the pendulum had to swing from he's top five to he's the worst to where he really is, which is like a prime Russell Wilson or like Jimmy G, but mobile. And by the way, Jimmy G, but mobile is like a whole nother tier jump, but it's not in the top tier of quarterbacks, right? You're still taking a bunch of guys over him, which is fine. Eagles fans are just, they want, like, they can't just acknowledge how good of a team they had last year because it feels like you got to drag Hurts down to like prop them
Hmm.
up. So, yeah, Jalen Hurts combo is just brain rot at this point. Like, no Eagles fan actually thinks he's top five. All they care about is that he wins, and he's winning. So, who cares?
Yeah. And so for a second outside of sports, So my major is psychology, and I know y'all are always on the road. Y'all are always doing something, editing, meeting up with fans. How do you kind of take that time to kind of step back a little bit?
Football actually offers a great opportunity because it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It doesn't stop. It's Monday night football, but Tuesday, Wednesday is like my new weekend. So like the last 2 nights, I'm chilling, hanging with the wife. We still schedule in. I go to weddings for friends and still have personal time. I don't have a problem balancing it, but that's also because I love doing it. I think if I didn't love doing it as much, then it would feel like I'm working 5 or 7 days a week, when in reality, I'm just playing 7 days a week.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. And what would kind of be your advice to someone, whether they wanted to start a sports page, a podcast, or wanted to go into some sort of media that involves sports?
Can you do it for 10 years without making a dollar? Could like that's really the advice is look yourself in the mirror and say, could I do this thing for the next 10 years and I never make a dollar? Now, that doesn't mean you wouldn't grow. That also doesn't mean you won't make a dollar in the next 10 years, but could you do it? And I think that is the biggest thing. And it's just become true. Like anytime I'm talking about the Ravens, like I've been talking about the Ravens for 18 years, right? I just now tweet about it. And when we started creating YouTube videos, I think like the look in the mirror moment was I don't really love creating these types of videos, right? Because we were doing like Mr. Beast challenges and different things like that. Could I go to, Ole Miss and run around the Grove for the next 10 years creating videos? 100%. Would I like want to? Maybe not. Like maybe as I get older, I change content a little bit, but like you got to make sure you can do it and enjoy it. And so that's the biggest thing. If you're only excited to get on this podcast or put your takes out so that you end up, XYZ, you won't make it because it's gonna take forever. It just is. There are no overnight successes.
No, definitely. And I feel like even if you do get like that one successful video, it's really about how it's about your craft because it's only one video that does good. Like you
Yeah,
still have to build on that. It's not gonna take you all the way somewhere.
absolutely not. We talked about this recently. The idea of blowing up is actually you've built the foundation. So what I mean by that is like you need to be ready for it, right? Like a perfect
Yeah,
example, and no offense to your show because you're in the early stages, but like if you knew LeBron, right? And LeBron came on the show, it would almost be a waste, right? Because you're not
right,
ready for that, right? You don't have the social following to make sure everyone sees it. You don't have the, equipment that a show that LeBron James is coming on needs to be at. You don't have the
right.
advertising, right, to capitalize and monetize on that. So I think some people think one big video is going to happen, but that's what the work being done is. It creates that foundation. So when you're ready and when it happens, you actually can maximize that. So yeah, I would say you just got to put the work in.
No, definitely. And when you mentioned the YouTube videos, it made me think of this because this was one of my favorite YouTube videos to watch with y'all. Tell me about the Fanatics experience because
Yeah,
that
it's
looked
cool.
so fun. I mean, I know you didn't win or anything, but like just being in that environment, that looked so cool. So like,
Yeah.
just kind of tell me
It,
about that.
it kind of was like being a professional athlete for the day. You didn't have like immense pressure where 80,000 people are watching you, but you had like, a few hundred people watching you at each event. And so you felt that pressure and you felt, right? And it's like you're taking in so much information and there's so much noise and there's music and there's like and you're constantly strategizing. So it was cool. It like put you in the mindset of almost being a quarterback playing in a football game with people watching. A lot of cool people in the event. They for year one they really put on a masterful event.
No, definitely. I think if you do go back, we might need to work on some hockey. I mean,
I liked the wrist shots. I just didn't have the accuracy on it.
so the shake back's real. The shake back is going to be real for
And
sure. But another thing I wanted to ask you was, what do you think about like the connections that you've made so far? Like, I know you said the podcast with OBJ,
Mhm.
Marlon Humphrey, another person. Like, how are those? I'm not gonna say like how are those connections built, but more of like, what do those connections mean to you in a way?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you'll see and everyone who gets into the industry learns is like they're just humans, right? A lot of them are just chillers and they watch TV and they have families and all that. Now there are some superstars who Odell is, bigger than life even when you're with him, right? Like everyone's eyes just gravitate towards him. That's just who he is as a person. Um, but I would say, any friends I've made along the way that have supported us, I think it's probably the ones I'm most appreciative of. And I root for, those guys because at the end of the day, it's also their job and their job impacts putting money on in their pockets and food on the table for their family. So I love to see them win. Um, but at the same time, I also have to do my job, which is talk about them. And, they're not doing so well, then that needs to be spoken
Yeah.
about as well.
Definitely. And I bet one cool thing has to be is, since you've been doing it for so long, probably early on when you first started collaborating with those college players, and now some of them are probably in the league. So to see
Yeah.
them kind of make that jump, I bet that's got to be awesome to see.
Big time. I think the coolest ones are the kids who have followed us since they were 13 and now they're starting at Washington at quarterback or they're playing tight end at Iowa, like Ashton Genty, right? Like that is so
Yeah,
crazy to me, that they followed for that long and now they see us here and we see them there. And now they're ending up on the story.
definitely. But I think we've talked about some great things today. I really appreciate the time in general because I know that y'all are super busy. But my question that I always love to ask at the end of each episode is, Jack, why do you enjoy life?
I see it on your hat. Um,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to send you a hat. I know it's not snapback, but I can send you
uh,
one.
I like the enjoy life motto. Why do I enjoy life? Ah, that's a good question. Um, I think because it's so complex, yet at the same time, it's so simple. I mean, as I look out the window, see thousands of buildings. And in those thousands of buildings, there's thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people. And there's just so much life going on. There's food being made and there's parts being built and there's buildings being built. And then the simplicity is all those things, right? Think about to just build a chair, right? Someone had to I don't know the true way to build a chair, but I know you had to
Yeah,
get the materials for it. You had to ship each part. You had to plastic around it. You had to type on a computer to build instructions. You had to print the instructions. You had to ship it. And then on the reverse end, we had to build, right? Think how many people and aspects touch that chair. And then you sit in that chair and you could create a memory for the rest of your life, right? You can watch a TV show with a friend or family. You can watch a sporting event, right? Which those games, there's so much complexity that goes into all from running one play to putting on the production of an NFL game. But you're sitting in this chair and you're watching this child's game, this sport, and it's simple yet complex. And so I just think enjoying life is being able to enjoy the complexities of life and understand the beauty and the simplicity.
I love that answer. And lastly, I know I said that was the last question, but since it's Thursday night football, what is the play of the day for Thursday night?
Dolphins. I know no one likes it, but it's the Dolphins. The Dolphins are wildly underrated in this spot. Now, I'm not saying they're the best team in the NFL, but getting 12 and a half points against a divisional opponent at 0 and 2 is just, it's a gift. The line should be like 9 or 10 at worst, and it's 12 and a half. I think the Dolphins could win the game. There's your hot take. And If they do, please clip that and make sure the the internet sees it.
No, I definitely will. But Jack, thank you so much. I had a great time talking with you.
Me too.
I've been looking forward to this since you said the year. And once again, I just want to thank you for holding me accountable. I love how you mentioned people who you always say a year because it really did put extra fuel in the tank to keep going. So thank you.
Awesome. All right, before I leave, let's get a picture. I'm gonna take a screenshot off the camera. You
Yeah,
ready? All right, three,
definitely.
2, 1. All right. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, man. You have a great day, bro.